Good morning. Oh, yeah. You've had plan, provision, and promise explained to you. They told me I had 15 minutes at the very end, but they said that 15 minutes was provisional. I think isn't how it was, how that was put. No, I just want to give you, first of all, greetings from the mother church. I pastor two congregations in Oregon. I pastor Eugene, Oregon, and I pastor Salem, Oregon. I've pastored Eugene the longest, and if you look up, all of your churches have numbers for them. Ours is 001. So it all began there. I pastor the Western region as an RP, and if you look at it, it's a big chunk of yellow over there. It is the largest region geographically, and that's not because the RP is awesome. It's because of the geography. Now, where Mike said he drives to everything, if I were to drive this, the denomination would need to provide me with a Winnebago. So it's a little bit of a challenge. But part of the thing is that because of where I live, I thought I'd just take a couple moments and let you know what's in my backyard, because you are all here because of things that happened in Eugene, Oregon a long time ago. And it started with KOR Radio. The station manager is a good friend of mine, and I drive by this all the time. Our very first radio broadcast off of that station. It's going to be a long day if this does that. Gene Schoolhouse. Still there, very first services, although this is a private residence right now. And this picture was taken. There we go. That was back. Let's go back here. Back button is not working. There we go. It does. It just takes forever. Boy, this is going to be a long day. There's a fence around that now. They've called me repeatedly asking me if I have the ability to get people to stop coming there and touching the building. I said, no, apparently not. Apparently not. The Alvador Schoolhouse, our very first evangelistic campaigns. I did the funeral of the gentleman who at age 18 was responsible for putting the bales of straw out, because we would never do an evangelistic campaign in those days without the opportunity for people to come forward and kneel and do an altar call and to receive. And so in those days, they would. His job was to put the straw out for it. And at Belknap Springs, our first gathering of any size right there. I've done many weddings there. It's a great place to hang out. And while all of this started in my backyard, and it started in the Western District, for another few months anyway, it'll still be there. The home office is still located in the Western District. And if you've never been there, that was an artist rendition of the home office. But when we take a look at the Western region, we're looking at Washington, Oregon, California, Montana, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Nevada, Arizona, Alaska, and Hawaii. And the reason the region is so large is because we're so spread out in those churches. Washington has 7 congregations. As we come down, you'll see a lot of it is on the I-5 corridor as we look at these states. Oregon has 6. I'm really hating this remote today. Oregon has 6 congregations, and I'm not doing that. California has 30 congregations, our largest collection, once again, down the I-5 corridor. If we take a look at Idaho, we have 2 congregations. Montana, 2. Wyoming, 1. I'm just going to fight the remote here. Utah, 1. Nevada, 3. Arizona, 3. Alaska, 2. And I've been told we have a congregation in Hawaii, but it may be in my region, but I've also been told I will never get there, because every time there is a need in Hawaii, someone from the home office always seems to volunteer, because I'm just so busy. So I know we have a congregation there. We have 4 summer camps in the Western region. We have SCP SoCal, one of our largest ones. As we move up, we have got SCP Tahoe in Nevada. We have now Base Camp Northwest, my backyard. This was last year's picture, but we've done a little different in Base Camp. When we were at Converge this year, we talked about Camp Reimagined. And one of the things that we did with Base Camp is that we did some reimagining, because we realized we had a lot of kids coming in, and we really dealt with, we probably scholarship 85% of the kids that came in there, and probably half of them full scholarships, because we were dealing with a lot of kids that we just, they're coming out of the foster care system. And it was a great camp, but what we realized is that we did not have any long-term relationship with these except a small group. And so we said, what can we do where we can actually engage these young people on a regular basis? And part of that was, well, let's bring the camp smaller, because we have awesome regional camps. We've got camp in Montana, for example, that, great regional camp. Tahoe, great regional camp. SEP SoCal, great regional camp. Large camp. And so we brought it down to a smaller camp where we're going to be doing it more often. We're going to be engaging. We're back in tents. The kids like that. The staff hates that. I've got a camp director who tells me that she would rather have a little something between her and the ground, like 3 floors of a luxury hotel. So, bit of a challenge in there, but we did a baptism this year at the end of camp from one of these young people that we really have had a chance to work with. We're going to be doing follow-up. So it's just a little different way. Again, it's Camp Reimagined, and where we're seeing camps go to day camps, go to kind of a very modified kind of a VBS on steroids kind of a model. We're really seeing that engagement, and that's very important for us. Putting the pieces together. For example, Sacramento, again, as has been said, there's so many different things that we could focus on. Our Sacramento congregation, this was a trip that they just did recently to Bogota and spent some time down there. A number of young people. The gentleman on your left, Judah, Jerron, Dwight Sanders, wonderful young man. He is a pastoral intern. I met him at the beginning of his intern program when he called me up and woke me out of bed at 2:30 in the morning and asked me to drive to the airport to pick him up. Got to know the young man. I have watched him develop into a pastoral resident. The end of this year, there's going to be a transition. Mike Swaggerty, the pastor in Sacramento, is retiring after, by the way, give it up, 50 years of continuous ministry and service. And Mike is stepping out, and a young, out there, dreadlocked, levitates when he worships young man is going to be stepping into the lead pastor position on that. The program is working, and we are seeing those transitions take place. Federal Way, Washington. Federal Way is a small little congregation, fellowship group size. They own a building. They're known all through the community because of the program that they do for homeless in that community, bringing them in, working with them, feeding them showers, things like that. But I want to take us down to San Francisco, California, and I want to look at a congregation down there that has probably the highest level of ethnic diversity of anything that we see in my region. And so I am going to, if thingy clicky will work, I'm just going to show you a little bit of this. When I was there and I spoke at this congregation, Pastor Richard and Pastor Tracy, co-pastors, are here at this conference. When I was there, I was the only Anglo in the room. It is an element of diversity that you're going to be hard-pressed to find anywhere else. I just said hello to them, and the response back was Nihai, and I couldn't tell you half of the languages that came back to me. When you're sitting there and you're looking at that, you're seeing people from a number of Asian countries. You're seeing somebody from Ghana. You're seeing somebody from Saudi Arabia. It's just an incredible, diverse group in that community. And when you take a look at what they do, for example, let's back that up. It's working slowly here. Is it going to stay? No, it's not. I am going to back it up one more time, and then we're going to give up. They put up the scripture passages, and you notice that the passage is up in English, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Spanish, and then they also have a teen Bible that they use. Most of us don't have that challenge when we put it up. We put it up in English, unless you're in Kentucky. I heard that. So I've got folks from West Virginia, and I really need a translator sometimes. But if you... I'm going to try and play this video. No, it's not going to let me play the video. There we go. I don't have sound over this as far as music goes. I just have the background because I want you to hear this is their food distribution program that they do there. And these people, many of them are walking, many of them are coming short distances. But if you just listen to the diversity of languages.
Hi. What? Don't do that.
And there is always the one teenager sitting on the phone the entire time I was there. I wanted to show that particular video because it speaks to some of the challenges that we find in the Western region. Now, I would complain about the size of the region, but then when I listen to the international directors talking about their various regions, listen to Kulangali, I have a hard time complaining about my particular region and the challenges of getting to it. But the challenges are a little different as far in the West as far as ethnic diversity. I looked at the other regions and I see, and the diversity tends to be based on color of skin. In the West, the diversity tends to be based on the ethnic origin. And so we have a very large Hispanic population, and as you heard yesterday, we have a very large Asian population. We see an incredible amount of diversity. And so when we take a look at it, we also were faced with the very same thing that Mike is faced with. The distances are absolutely incredible for us. And so we have churches that feel isolated, that we're trying very hard to find the way to connect them. For example, conferences like this are good, but your folk back home don't get the chance to, unless you really bring that back to them. So trying to find a way to bring that connection. So the cabin retreats that we do for our leadership become very essential. And then the other thing, as I said, is that ethnic and cultural diversity. How do we engage and how do we build? And that particular congregation that I showed you had actually established a community, which is, I think, the biggest thing, and you've heard that so far, is that I don't like this thing, is the sense of community. I like that picture, though. I could keep watching that spin around. Is finding that sense of community. And that's going to be the challenge that you're going to hear from any one of these gentlemen sitting over there, is how do we then reach out and how do we then engage community? How do we see beyond? My congregation in Eugene does incredible things. I could brag about them, but we've actually been backing away from them. We adopt a school, we paint things, we hand out backpacks and we hand out shoes. We were part of a group last year that handed out 8,000 pairs of shoes and 14,000 fully stocked backpacks to needy kids in the community, and we've not really engaged anyone through that. We'll continue to do the good works, but how do we then take that to the next step and engage? And so the intentionality, I hear it when I hear Napomo talking about what do we do in Tony Murphy, and how do we then intentionally look at community? That's going to be the biggest challenge I think we all face. And for me, it's a privilege to be a part of these gentlemen over here. We did behave ourselves. Do we get a drink? I don't know. We did behave ourselves. But it's a privilege also to be a part of this, to come into a congregation, to look at the diversity. And when I speak at congregations now, I tend to stop with the, we are GCI. Say it with me. We are GCI. It doesn't get any better than that. I want to thank you. We want to thank you on behalf of my brother sitting over there. You guys get a break. 11:15. Come back here, and we'll see you all. Again, thank you very much.